And so, the university had already planned to take out an ad on a billboard. I'm hearing all this stuff. So the pressure was horrible. So then I'm like, okay, I'll apply again. So I applied again in 96. And this time, by this time, I'm a professor at the university working toward tenure. And I didn't even get an interview that time. So my self-esteem was so crushed. And I'm thinking people looking at me like, why didn't NASA pick her? There must be something wrong with her that we don't know about. She failed the psychological exam. That's got to be it, okay? And I felt so insecure about that for so long, and it was crazy. Now, how can you have a goal that you're reaching for, and you're still working toward other things, and you're feeling insecure? But it happens, ladies. And that's why I'm so sincere when I say this resilience thing, this understanding your value, this is core to who we are. And I remember asking myself, what are the things that really matter to Pamela? I'm passionate about three things. People. I love people. I want to make a difference in people's lives. I'm passionate about engineering. I love being an engineer. And then I'm passionate about education. And I said, I can still fulfill every dream and goal I have in life and touch every one of my passions, even if I'm not selected to become an astronaut. And I decided not to renew my application. And a few weeks later, I was at United Technology Research Center in Connecticut giving a talk on the significance of fuzzy set theory as a quantitative modeling tool for human factors research. And there was a woman in the audience that was from MIT, and they invited me to serve to join their faculty in the Aeronautics and Astronautics Department as a visiting professor. And there I had the opportunity to impact so many students, but also I had an opportunity to really grow the research that I'm doing today and to still touch every area of my passion. So it's very important. Now, if I had sat there in Central Florida feeling bad, feeling sorry for myself, I would not have accepted the invitation to go to UTRC and talk about my research. I probably wouldn't even been doing any research. I'd have been sitting around feeling sorry for myself. So every moment that we spend not bouncing back is a moment that we spend not reaching our goals. Goals that we have every capability and everything in us that we need to reach those goals. So it's very important that we understand there is a cost to not being resilient. Tremendous cost. Now, my mother is the most optimistic person I've ever met in the world. So I understand that some people may not have grown up with that optimism. We're from Oklahoma, and if a tornado's coming, she says, well, that's okay, honey, at least we'll get a good breeze. Okay, now she's the epitome of optimism. And I recognize everyone hasn't grown up with that. But there are reasons to be optimistic. There are reasons to be resilient. Significant and substantive reasons that impact your life. So I'm encouraging us to do that today. And then, okay, so you make your plan, write your goals down. You remember we used to do this when we were young? Then you do this when you were young? Then we got older and we figured we don't need to do that. Well, guess what? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. As long as there's breath in my body, I want to be reaching towards something, trying to make a difference. It is something we can and should do. And when you're passionate about it, it's not even like it's work. People ask me all the time, how do you do so many things? Because everything I do, I love. Now, certainly there are aspects of it. Being CTO of the company, I love that because I love engineering. I love creating products. I love coming up with new designs. I love students. I love teaching at the university. And I love going out and talking to people and motivating them. Now, writing that ergonomic textbook, that put a few gray hairs in my head. Okay, praise the Lord. But when you're doing things that you love, it's not the drudgery. So if you aren't excited in the morning when you get up, if you're not looking forward to getting up and doing things you're doing, I'm not saying you have to stop right away. But, honey, get a plan to change that. Life is too good for us to settle for less than we have to. And it's a choice. We can't make it anyone's responsibility but ours. We have accepted. Now, we can go back and point to several things that happened, several conditions, several reasons. But ultimately, it is our choice whether or not we will accept it. Now, I always say find an accountability partner. That is important. Now, an accountability partner is somebody, you sit down, you talk to me. What's your name? Kathy sits down and talks to me. Kathy says, Pamela, I want to do this. I've been wanting to write a book for a long time. Or I've been wanting to start this business, and I've been really thinking about it. And I'm like, Kathy, you can certainly do that. There's absolutely no reason in the world that Kathy can't and shouldn't do those things. So I says, okay, Kathy, let's start slow. Let's get some stuff from the library, get online. I'll come over. We'll put some coffee on. We'll spend an hour online. We'll pull all this information you need. Okay, so we schedule that a week from now. Then after that, Kathy, now you have the action over the next 4 weeks to do X, Y, and Z. Now, I see Kathy in the grocery store, and she sees me, and it's week 6. So she goes to another aisle because she hadn't done anything, okay? Okay? So then I run into her in Starbucks, and she's on the way out the door. Kathy, how are we coming on that plan? Now, my friends say they don't like for me to be their accountability partner because I will hold you accountable. Don't tell me you want something, and I know you can do it. Oh, we're going to do it. But that's the kind of accountability partner you want because I'm about Kathy. I see her doing this. I see her living her dreams and visions. And that is what you need around you. Have that accountability partner. You might even tell somebody, okay, you're going to need to be my accountability partner, but you might need to take it easy on me. And my friends say that to me now. Now, this is what I want, but I don't want you to do nothing. One of my friends told me she wanted to be a motivational speaker. She had a speech in 2 weeks. Okay? So I hooked her up. She said, now, I want to write a book, but don't do anything yet. But I'm all about supporting people and helping you be the best you can be. So get that accountability partner and then be an accountability partner. You guys have accountability partners all around here, across the table from me, all over this room. Then that positive self-image. Once again, it's important that we do see ourselves in a positive fashion. Now, that does not mean I don't recognize that Pamela has weaknesses. I hate balancing checkbooks, okay? That is important, okay? That's very important to do. But understand your weaknesses, then do what you need to do to mitigate them. We cannot ignore our weaknesses. But I don't need to spend time trying to do something that I know I'm not very good at if I have a sufficient strategy to mitigate that risk. I want to focus on my strengths. And there's a good book, and I can't even remember the name of it, but a good book it's called Now Your Strengths. Now Your Strengths, and it talks about focusing on your strengths. Because for years we've talked about how to overcome our weaknesses, how not to do how to focus on what you're not good at and get better at it. Well, a prevailing mindset is that focus on your strengths. Now, again, keeping in mind, you can't have weaknesses that will keep you from accomplishing your goals, so they must in some manner be addressed and mitigated. But then that gives you the power and energy to focus on your strengths. Now, there's a study that I want to talk about just very briefly that was on the Wall Street Journal about, a couple of days ago. And this gets back to knowing your strength. And I mean, when I say know them, know them. Know them. Now, that means, hopefully, I'm going to back you up, and I'm your girl, and I got you. And when I see Audrey, yeah, Audrey, you're so good at this. And yes, that's good reinforcement. But Audrey needs to know that. Because there was this study that was just published, or it wasn't really a study, but the Wall Street Journal article that points out 12 years ago at MIT, they realized that female faculty weren't getting the opportunities in terms of lab space, in terms of access to resources that their male counterparts were getting. And this was right around the time when I was there because I think I left MIT in 98. And so there was a push to do more to support the women faculty, to encourage them, I suppose give them more resources and so forth. Well, now, apparently, there's this perception that the women faculty aren't as good because they've had all this support. Okay? Wall Street Journal. Now, this is what I say to that. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Now, are you telling me that an equation that I solved, that the scientific research that I've done, that in some matter it is demeaned because I had more of a level of support? And while I haven't looked closely at the article, these are the kinds of things that we have to guard ourselves against. Because while these women may be feeling good about themselves, and I know some of the female faculty there at MIT still, then for someone to come along and say, okay, well, they really didn't do that much. I mean, they've been preferred, and so we really shouldn't look at their accomplishments as significantly. And I pray that not a one of them buys into that. And people will say that, now look at me here, I am a black woman, PhD in engineering. People think surely everything was given to you. And for a while, that bothered me. Then I said, I don't care what they think. I worked every equation, solved every problem. Now, have I had opportunities and access? Certainly. But what we do with it is what determines our success. So please don't let anyone ever make you feel less about your success because you're a woman or because you may have been given some opportunities. So we have to know it. When I say you have to know it, you have to know you are bad. Now, branding you. Gotta know you're bad. That's not a bad thing. So branding you. Now, people have been branding themselves for decades. Now, I said I won't get political, But whether you like her or not, that Sarah Palin, she knows how to work a brand. The girl knows how to work a brand. Now, she might not know anything about international politics, but she sure knows how to work a brand. And it's been done forever. Now, once again, men are very good at this. Very good at this. And they, in many instances, are socialized to do this. They talk tough and they're gruff and so that's okay. But once again, we're the nurturers. We're taught in many respects, societally, I'm speaking generally, okay, that we are to take care of others, not necessarily supposed to play ourselves up. And once again, don't be a good Christian girl. You sure ain't supposed to be trying to play yourself up. Well, the time for that is over, ladies. And understand, I'm not proposing arrogance. I'm proposing the necessary confidence for us to survive in this environment. And it's true. You are awesome. You're bad. You're fabulous. You've overcome some great things. You have great thoughts in your head that sometimes we're afraid to let out because we're afraid what other people will think. That day is gone. It's time to know who we are.